Hello and welcome to Cornish Walking Trails. A rather windy day here in Cornwall. We're in Falmouth. We found this really interesting little book, 3 quick walks around Falmouth. So we thought it would be ideal for a wintry afternoon to spend an hour or two just wandering around, finding out all those quirky stories about Falmouth.
So if you're interested in finding out about walks here in Cornwall, it's pretty much what we do on the channel. If that's your cup of tea, if that's what you want, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us to grow the channel. Give us a like and perhaps send us a comment.
Our walk today is taken from this book, 3 Falmouth Walks. Each walk starts from a Falmouth car park. This one starts from the Dell station car park.
It's right next to the Dell railway station here in Falmouth, so you don't have to ride by car, you could come by train.
We've got a very short but so many interesting things to tell you about walk around Falmouth.
We have this lovely little book we picked up in a charity shop.
It's nearly 40 years old, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, 1982.
I was expecting a date then.
Yeah.
I have never walked up here before. This area is called the Dell. The station is just up on the embankment to my left. And here, rather interestingly, we have a cob wall, and the book tells us about it. So the book says that this lane is edged by one of the few remaining cob walls in Falmouth. True cob is little more than mud, and though once a popular building material, is now somewhat frowned upon by planning authorities. That's it, isn't it?
I've just been stroking it.
Oh no, you're all muddy.
I am, already.
Right at the beginning of the walk.
I know, what's that all about?
That's mud.
It is. I've seen this in sort of Cornish buildings as well. So on top of the cob wall, there's usually some stonework, and then they've put some slates, and there's usually some ridge tiles along the top.
I guess that protects it from rainwater.
Yeah, because you think if it was just mud, it would just wash away, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Should I stroke it again? Oh, it's crumbling.
Weird.
I am.
Andrew's trying to film a squirrel. I keep seeing them flitting through these trees. They must be numerous. Oh, it's so hard to film though. We're looking for a right hand turning, which I think might be just up there, isn't it? So that takes us into Fox Lane,
Okay.
named after the Fox family that seems to have owned most of Falmouth at one time. A few weeks ago we went to Penryn.
We did.
And when we released the video, we had a little comment on there which caught my eye, and in Penryn there's lots of alleyways called opes, and in the comment it said op, not ope.
Yeah, I think whoever left the comment was opping mad.
Yeah, or hoping we wouldn't say ope anymore.
So what is it then?
Well, let's read this out a minute.
Okay.
Our book today says, now, there are people up country who do not know what an ope is, let alone how to pronounce it. Even the compilers of the Oxford English Dictionary had to check a West Country glossary of 1880 before offering their definition: a narrow covered passage between 2 houses, an opening. Most locals would agree with that, though there's less agreement on pronunciation. People who've lived in Falmouth all their lives maintain the word should rhyme with hop. Other people who've lived in Falmouth all their lives maintain it should rhyme with hope. In the face of such expert witness, the present writer feels impelled to remain firmly on the fence. So it's quite amusing really that people in the same town, same Cornish generation, can't agree ope or op. One of my favourite roads in Falmouth. In a minute, get a view all across the bay towards the walls, and there are some really nice houses along this stretch, so you can just sit and admire them as we film them.
think these are the properties to own in Falmouth, Sarah?
Yeah.
They're gorgeous, aren't they?
Brilliant sea view, and they're so elegant, aren't they? They're like your elegant Georgian townhouses. Yeah.
Love the colours. Beautiful, aren't
They've
they?
got the decorative bits on them too, haven't they? Little porch, yeah. Brilliant. Church path.
I can see the church.
Yeah, I think it's this one.
It's down there, isn't it? Just working out how to get down there.
Well, we can follow that path.
What, the path to the church? Church path? Okay.
This book's come up with a gem here. So this area between Wodehouse Terrace and Gilling Street was acquired in the 19th century to cope with the alarming number of cholera deaths. And it says in here, we do not know who Maldi was, but the path through the cemetery for many years was known as Maldi's Walk.
Oh, okay, so this path we're on there.
Is Maldi's Walk.
Oh, we'll proceed on Maldi's Walk then. So was this used for burials then? This whole area? Okay.
So you would be forgiven for walking straight past this. And the book tells us on the right here is a tomb to the Arundel family. The inscription is pretty much worn off now, but fortunately at the time, 40 years ago, there was more of it, so they were able to decipher who was actually buried here. From the parish register we discover it commemorates Thomas Arundel Lewis, a commander in the Royal Navy who died on February the 23rd, 1875, aged 81. Also, Emma was Thomas's eldest daughter and Julia his youngest. When tragedy struck, the sorrowing father must have raised the handsome tomb to try to ease his pain. The hurt was finally healed many years later when the name of Thomas Arundel Lewis was at last added to those of his long-gone daughters.
So that's the old mortuary then?
Yeah.
And now it's a home, is it?
I think they know.
Well, I don't know. Don't know if I fancy living there.
You know, earlier it said about the high number of cholera deaths and that the
Yes.
people were buried in this bit.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the mortuary to cope with the cemetery and
Probably
that
was,
particular
wasn't it?
time? Now that tickles me. So we've just come through that archway and the mortuary is behind this wall, and you can see it's lovely property now. And guess what number it is, as if not to make it worse, it's number 13. People who live in there just have no regard for superstition, do they? A mortuary, and it's number 13. So we're now at the top of Quay Hill, and it says it's once known as Bessie's Steps, named after Cyrus Bess, who owned the adjoining stables. Don't miss the very old granite gutters laid between the stable building and the hill. So that's the top of Quay Hill. Oh, you found it already, have you?
Yeah.
Where? Oh! Oh yeah! It's here, isn't it?
Well, it's here, and then I think it joins into... This is all granite here, see?
Oh, wow. Oh, it is, isn't it? Look, it goes all the way down.
It's a shame it's not raining today to demonstrate it.
I'm very glad it's not raining. So if that is Gillinghall, then that would have been the stables. So the muck literally would have run down the hill. This street furniture, look at it, it's bent to mirror the steps, and the patina on it, so shiny, where so many hands have used it to keep their balance.
So it tells us here that Gillinghall was built as a friends' meeting house in 1873. Falmouth had a notable Quaker heritage, this having been the persuasion of the influential Fox family.
Ah,
It's just here.
yes. Lovely building.
An old sign on it.
Oh yeah. turned into flats now. Of course, Falmouth has a huge student population, so old buildings like that ideal as flats for students. We're now in New Street, surrounded by blocks of quite new modern buildings. Not as pretty maybe as the rest of Falmouth, and it's summed up beautifully in here. It says New Street, when built, ended as a small courtyard near the church. Handsome 3-storey houses stood on the left, more or less where the present parish hall is. The tree-filled cemetery lay between the foot of Church Path and the church itself. Only the terrace of cottages to the right remained to hint at the charm of this former vanished backwater. It's 1 o'clock already. Oh dear, that made me jump.
I wonder how, you know, when people walk through, because this is sort of a cutway through from the houses at the top down to the main street.
Yeah.
Do you think they know they're walking through an old cemetery?
Or past a mortuary?
Yeah.
No.
So the road here then, Sarah, where the traffic's going along, so this was sort of cut through the cemetery, is that right?
That's as I understand it. So the cemetery would have been with the church.
Yeah.
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 They built New Street.
Yeah.
That green area was burial ground.
Right.
And if we look over here, there's lots of gravestones, presumably from up there.
So you can actually see the rooftop of the old mortuary that we were filming that earlier on, up there. Number 13. The house on the hill.
So they decided to incorporate some of the old headstones into the wall. Don't know how I feel about that, really. Here lies the remains of Jane, daughter of Samuel and Mary Drew, departed this life the 8th of December 1774. What's the date today?
It's the 5th of December.
Oh.
What was the date on that one?
8th.
Oh, okay. We'll come back in a few days' time.
So with the building of New Street, it is cheek by jowl against the church, and you don't feel as though there's a lot of scope to view the church anymore.
We'd like to go and have a little look inside the church, but it's all locked up today, so that's not going to happen today.
It seems to be regularly locked, doesn't it, this church? Perhaps it's because it's a town setting. Anyway, our next instruction says at the bottom of the steps, which we've just come down, opposite and a little to the left, is Old Chapel Yard.
There is an old sign up where it says Lane to Old Chapel Yard.
Yeah.
Is that correct, then?
Yeah, so it says there's a bit right of way as far as the railings above Old Chapel Yard.
Okay.
That continues. There's a private right of way around the back sheds and National Westminster Bank, which would be going to the left.
We'll see what we can see, yeah. Do you ever wish you were taller?
Yeah, have to stool with me.
What I will do, if you explain what we're looking at, and then I'll point the camera over the top.
Yeah. Okay, so it says here, the building whose end touches the waterfront on the right of the yard is reputed to have been the first non-conformist chapel in Falmouth. So we're thinking it's probably that creamy coloured building with the wooden side.
It looks a bit like a chapel, doesn't it?
I don't feel as though you should be coming down here. Lots of private signs. Maybe we're trespassing. I don't know. I'm not going any further though. No, you're not allowed. No. I'm going this way. Oh, you've come back again.
Else. That's fine.
Let's go back up to the main street. filming this a couple of weeks before Christmas, and some of the windows are all decorated. I'll film some of them now, they look beautiful. It says Quay Street is really the lower end of Quay Hill. It's difficult to gather accurate information of this colourful area in its heyday, since it was clearly not the sort of place in which nice people would wish to be recognised. It was of course immensely popular with visiting seamen. However, in 1849 a splendid seamen's bethel, now Taco Billa House, although it looks like they've now called it Zorn Haven.
Yeah.
It was opened presumably in the hope of raising Quay Street's rather doubtful moral tone.
So we've used this book before, Sarah. It's a lovely book, Falmouth in Old Photographs. And there's a couple of bits I want to show you here about the Seaman's Bethel. So the first photograph on the left hand side is looking up the hill. You've got the Chain Locker pub on the left hand side, and the Seaman's Bethel is on the right hand side. Look at that light that was outside.
Wow.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And inside, this was the interior.
So
Can
that
you see
looks
that?
like the prow of a ship.
It does, doesn't it? And
With
there's
a
an
ship's
organ
wheel.
behind it, a ship's wheel, you're right. So it actually says that the Falmouth branch of the British and Foreign Sailors Society was established in 1849 for the use and welfare of sailors visiting the port. The Seaman's Bethel and Institute was the name given to it locally, and in addition to the magnificent chapel, there was also rest and reading rooms here.
Wow. So we need to find an ope that takes us through the chain locker.
Yes.
Onto Custom House Quay. So here we are. This chimney behind me here is the King's Pipe. It was used when the customs officers, they actually found smugglers and they confiscated the contraband tobacco and they burnt it in this pipe. And it says in our trusted book, it says, according to the customs officers, the King's Pipe changes sex with the reigning monarch. Despite the explanatory plaque, therefore, it's now officially the Queen's Pipe, specially built to burn contraband tobacco. It's still in working order and is smoked from time to time.
Can you imagine when they were burning all that contraband tobacco?
Yeah.
Must have smelled lovely.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Especially our pipe tobacco.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Nostalgic.
Yes.
Yeah. Smell like your granddad's.
Yeah.
The King's Pipe, Sarah.
Yes.
It does beg a question, doesn't it? Where's the King's slippers?
King's fireplace.
King's remote control.
looking festive.
It's a place for really Christmas ideas.
It is, isn't it? Love Trago.
Love Trago. So, going back to this book again.
Yes.
So, Falmouth in old photographs. There's a lovely photo in here of the view.
Yeah.
Pretty much from outside Trago's.
Really?
It's looking down Bank Place and Grove Place. I'm going to try and line that up exactly.
Yes.
For you. But can you see the beautiful row of houses down
Now
there?
that's that Georgian terrace.
Yes.
Behind you. I think I've almost lined it up for you actually.
Done it already, have you?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So there was a road and then water. None of Event Square.
Yeah, so the sea came right in here to the left hand side.
Wow.
So everything you see over there on the left is all reclaimed land.
Yeah.
There was in fact a little pier going off there as well. So we're going to head down to the memorial down there in a moment. There's a pier coming off there.
Okay.
Apparently it was demolished in the 1980s and it was called the Submarine Pier. But it had nothing to do with submarines.
Right. It just gets more confusing, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Let's go and try and line that up a minute.
Did you do it?
I don't know. I think we might have to wait till we get... My hands are so cold, my screen isn't recognising my thumb.
It's a terrible excuse
It just
for a poorly taken photograph.
I cannot get it to... My hand is so cold, it won't touch screen. What do you do?
What do you do? Just for reference, where we think that photo's taken from.
Yeah.
Here. Alright, so if any of our subscribers want to come and recreate this moment,
I know what you're going to say.
This lovely moment,
Yeah.
it's actually right next to the dog poo bin
Outside Trago.
outside Trago. Alright, so we've placed that now, okay? Dog poo bin outside Trago. Beautiful shot.
Yeah.
There we are. So if you wanted to come to Falmouth and try and recreate that lovely photograph, as I said, it's dog poo bin outside of Trago's. If you put hashtag dog poo bin Trago's, and we'll be able to find it on social media.
Beautiful.
Do you know about Arwenick House, Sarah?
I know a little bit about it.
I might know a little bit more than you.
I know it's built by one of the Killigrews.
Well, it was actually so successive Killigrews enlarged and modified the house until it was overtaken by disaster during the Civil War. How much of the Arwenick was actually destroyed is still open to question.
Hang on.
It seems that little or no building took place on the site until the late 18th century.
You seem to know a lot about that.
I do. What?
You monkey. So now for the lovely bit they've written in here. It's really well written. It says, somewhere in the 14th century, Robert of Arwenick built or acquired for himself a farmhouse in the edge of Falmouth Harbour. Since then, Arwenick House has, to our certain knowledge, been partially demolished at least twice, set ablaze 3 times, enlarged, modified, vandalised, and at last beautifully repaired by a local builder. For 100 years or so, it was the abode of the notorious Killigrews, a family of cutthroats, pirates, smugglers, traitors and brigands, who nonetheless succeeded in placing Falmouth firmly on the map. So the final bit in this book is about a pyramid in Cornwall.
Yeah.
And it's over there.
There it is.
Our book tells us that this pyramid was built by a member of the Killigrew family. It was actually built by Martin Lister, who married a Killigrew woman and took her name. He hoped that the name would carry on, but he died without issue, and so it did die out with his generation. Now there is a lot more detail in one of our other books and it's quite interesting. Here we have it. Here's the picture of the obelisk here in front of Grove Place. Now this passage tells us that it's been moved twice. So we know that this monument started off in the grounds of Arwenick Manor. It was moved to the top of the hill, but when the railway line was built, it was precariously balanced on a cutting, so they decided to move it to its current site.
So this has been moved twice in its lifetime then? I do know that when they brought it to this position, there's a sealed bottle inside which has got historical information in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was put in by one of the bailiffs of Falmouth.
Oh right.
But I think there was another sort of time capsule that was put in as well, a bit higher up near the top.
Oh wow.
And that was put in by the workmen when they moved it here.
So when's it going to be taken apart? And when will they discover all that? Oh, that's intriguing. I love that story.
I'd love to know what's in the bottle.
I do too.
You know, information boards are brilliant, aren't they? You
Yeah.
actually learn more from information boards than you can find on the internet and on you know, in books, isn't it? So it does say that in 1871 the monument was moved to its present position. On this occasion, the manor bailiff prepared a long document giving the full history of the pyramid, with extracts from some of Martin Lister Killigrew's letters to his steward. The height is given as 40 foot, and the original cost is £455, 1 shilling, 11.5p. The document was sealed in a glass bottle and built into the interior about halfway up. A second bottle was surreptitiously built in higher up still by workmen, not to be outdone by their masters, which contains their names and some foreign coins.
That's interesting,
It's
actually.
interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So from that photograph, you could tell that the obelisk was on the edge of the land. And now, today, we have all of Event Square, the Pendennis port, and the sea is nowhere to be seen. Walk today is taken from this book, 3 Falmouth Walks. Each walk starts from a Falmouth car park. This one starts from the Dell Station car park. Maps are a little confusing with this book, so they keep the map and the directions on the same page, and this walk actually goes over several pages. So what, walk around Falmouth? It's complete. Make it quick and snappy.
Yeah, this is a lovely little book. So it's nearly 40 years old. There's 3 short walks around Falmouth in here. We've done walk 1. I reckon you could do all 3 in one day and explore Falmouth if you wanted to. So we score our walks out of 10. What would you score a walk, Sarah?
Well, the map was a bit confusing for me because it was cut up into starts and finish on every page, and for that one reason I'd have to knock it back a bit, but so much information, it's an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think as well. Also, they don't tell you how long the walk is. I think it's a short one, probably only 1.5 miles, but well worth doing. It's an 8 out of 10 for me as well. Thank you for joining us on a walk around Falmouth today. Eventually we're going to end up here. This is the Killigrew Monument outside Arwenick House. If you've enjoyed our videos, what am I trying to say? So thank you for joining us on our walk around Falmouth today. Hang on. End up here. This is the Killigrew Monument outside Arwenick House. So if you could help us out by subscribing, that would be great. Please hit the subscribe button, helps us to grow the channel. Give us a like and perhaps send us a comment. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, search Cornish Walking Trails. Back to the video.
It says Quay Street is really the lower end of Quay Hill. It's difficult to gather accurate information of this colourful area in its heyday, since it was clearly not the sort of place in which nice people would wish to be recognised. It was, of course, immensely popular with visiting seamen. However, in 1849, a splendid seamen's brothel...
Fraudulent slip. Try again.
However, in 1849, a splendid seamen's bethel... I knew that was going to happen. I just knew. When you told me that last night, I knew I was going to say the wrong word.